Friction. It's the thing that is on the bottom of our shoes to keep us from slipping. It's what's on our car tires to keep them from sliding. And it's what serves as an obstacle between what we want to achieve and where we are. It is resistance. The best way to get creative faster is by recognizing how resistance and friction show up in our lives and minimizing it as much as possible so that we can get from point A to point B much quicker in our creative process. An example of resistance or friction lies in the time that it takes to set up your studio or office space before starting work. I mentioned in a previous video how cleaning up your space is a good practice for having a more productive workspace. It's something to do first thing before you start. However, it actually can create friction in that it's another thing to do before you get to start doing what you really want to do, whether that be writing, filming, drawing, etc. So to reduce that friction between you and your goal, take that task of cleaning up and put that to the day before. So instead of first thing in the morning, you do it at the end of the day, so that by the time you are ready to go into your workspace and start working, your yesterday self already took care of the cleaning up for you. And while you're cleaning up your space, consider all that needs to be done in order for you to start work the next day. Are there batteries that have to get charged? SD cards that have to be formatted? Do you have any tools that have to get prepped? Whatever it is that you are going to be using while you're at work, that's something that can also be taken care of the day before or that night before. Thinking ahead of time about all that you need to do to have a successful day is going to help you get better prepared and organized for that day of work. On a non-creative side of reducing friction, a practice that I believe in as far as reducing friction would be to pick out your clothes the day before. So when I'm planning on getting up at 5 a.m. to exercise or to do whatever it is I gotta do that day, the last thing I wanna do is spend time when I'm not even fully awake, looking in my closet and trying to figure out what I'm gonna wear to start the day. I want that taken care of beforehand, so all I gotta do is get out of bed, slip some clothes on, and keep moving. So while you can reduce and remove friction as much as possible, there are also ways to add friction, and that is useful for putting a barrier between you and things that are distracting or that would get in the way of your creative process. When we think about removing friction, we're closing the gap between us and our goal. When we're adding friction, we're increasing the gap between us and those distractions. For example, your smartphone is probably one of the biggest distractions and one of the easiest to recognize. And so to add friction between you and that distraction in your pocket, put it on Do Not Disturb, put it in grayscale mode so that it's not dinging off while you're working. You're not as tempted to look at it if you happen to pull it out for anything, because in grayscale mode, is not as visually appealing. And to even take it a step further, put your phone somewhere else entirely. Don't even bring that into your workspace, into your office, into your studio. So that way, if you're sitting there working for a while and you start to get bored and you're trying to find some dopamine kick and you want to pull your phone out, it's going to be a lot harder to get to your phone if it's in an entirely different room in the house. Use these principles to poke and prod and scrutinize your daily work and see what things function as distractions that you can add more friction to so that they are less in the way, and what things are you trying to achieve that you can either do some prep work ahead of time or consolidate the process itself so that you're closing that gap so you can get creative much quicker. Appreciate you watching this video, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Deuces.